Hey everybody, I'm live, and it's Friday. It is the 9th of June, and my little tablet here just decided to crash while I try to invite a couple of people into this live viewing. Okay, Michelle's here, so she'll take care of it. Okay, let's see. You probably see in the back there a bunch of paper. Well, I'm in the middle of a quick revision on a screenplay. Right, here we go. And see how I make notes and shit. And what happens is I'll say things like, well, who the fuck wrote this? This needs rewriting. And then I'll rewrite it. And then when I'm done with the piece of paper, I'll just throw it. That's the process of a writer. Ta-da. And speaking of writing, I actually have a script for tonight. So, we're going to start with a brief lecture. This is about time travel, going back to an event that may have implanted a block that's keeping you from achieving what you wish to achieve. The problem with our subconscious is it looks at our past, all these past events, but it doesn't serve our now, and it certainly doesn't serve our future self. So, we have to go back in, we have to correct this. What's a good way to correct it? Well, first, follow the script. Most of our negative patterns reside in the subconscious, and our subconscious is like a little recorder. What it's been doing, it's been running nonstop since about midway through your mom's pregnancy. Your feelings that your mom had, even things which she ate. This is why we come out of the chute, and where it's like we like certain things that our mothers would eat. And for example, my mom, bless her heart, was really fond of chocolate and donuts, and to this day, I have a hard time walking past a donut shop. Okay, so our sub is an accumulation of all experiences since about midway in pregnancy. And then what happens is it just holds on to these memories and it also holds, especially our super consciousness, holds memories from previous lifetimes. I forgot to print it out. Imagine a multi-layered onion. Out here is the world. Inside is our conscious mind. Then the subconscious, and the superconscious is the core. And the core is actually connected to our higher self. And the higher self is, well, who we really are. So, let's go back into this. Now that you know where everything's at, it's rather simple to enter what I call a mid-level theta state of mind. And having your superconscious or your higher self as a guide, you go back to look at these things. Now, let's talk about kids. I've had a kid. Most of us here tuning in probably has had kids. And and at one time, all of us, all of us, no matter who we are, at one time, we were a kid too. So, until about age 10, further back, we have these enormous imaginations, and the younger we are, the more these imaginations were real to us. That was our reality. And what happens when you're that age is you're practicing creating stuff in your mind and pushing it out into reality. Try to create reality. And then, parents and peers step in, and that just gets erased. Also, at this time in our life, we didn't really know what was real and what was imagined. When you're little, and then also everything seems to be aimed at you. So if you see somebody fighting, you think they're fighting because of you. You see somebody angry, and you think they're angry because of you, because everything was about you at that age. Anybody who has little kids, they understand that right now. These little guys, the world revolves around them. Okay. marine layer. Looks like it's rolling back in. It's going to be cutting out the light. Okay. Well, let's move forward. Okay. Now, when you're a little kid, excitement and joy is your state of mind. Well, the state of mind, it's also the state of mind of your higher self. And they're usually quite joyful while they're playing because they're closer to their higher self. And this is most kids. Even kids who grew up in real abusive situations with abusive parents or abusive step-parents or abusive babysitters, the kids still have this joy that they would draw on. And then, you know, as you get older, life steps in, you have to adjust that. And to no fault of ourselves, we sometimes witness people around us fighting. We think it's about ourselves. And this sometimes implants the blocks. And I know I did. When I did my experiment, I went right back and I saw my parents fighting. And I thought, you know, I kept hearing money, money, fight, 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 money, money. So, you know, it's a blockage in me where I've acquired a blockage regarding money. And so I got programmed into this idea that to make any money, one had to toil severely, had to have several jobs, had to scrimp and save for whatever you want. Hold on a second. It may be sunny out here, but there's some pollen in the air, and it's fucking with me. All right. Now, you know, like I said, you know, the jobs are difficult to hold on to. It's hard to bring in money, etc., etc. Well, I managed to break that mindset. God, the majority of my life was spent working for myself. I was self-employed. And a couple of times when I did work for other people, I wasn't the best of employees because I didn't think their policies were good for people or me. I was so used to making my own schedule. But, you know, but I still today, I get pushback. I get pushback from my dad all the damn time. Every time I call him, he says, well, you're not making any money unless you have a job to go to. And, you know, that's pushback that I've had pushed back into my face ever since I graduated college. So we're going back, what, 35 years or so. Let's do the math here. 1983. Yeah, 35 years. But that's a belief system that my dad has. And what is a belief system? Belief system is thought patterns that you keep doing over and over again. And they become beliefs. And as a kid, we're a product of our environment, really. And we didn't have to actually have bad things happen to us to affect us. When I was 5, was it 5? Yeah, we were in Lubbock. And I was always not really a cautious kid. And then one day I saw a friend of mine riding his bike. He crossed the street, gets hit by a car, breaks a leg, is in the hospital. And to this day, I see him being hit by this car. And I see him falling over. I see him crying. I see the ambulance there. I see the cops there. And even though it didn't happen to me, I carried the trauma with me to the point where I refused to ride my bicycle anywhere near a street while I was a kid. I had to work through that. You know, and kids can get PTSD just from watching parents have fights. Kids in the street having fights. My daughter has PTSD, not because sometimes things happen to her, but she would witness her mother being beaten up and raped by a boyfriend. So, and when people are forced to become something they're not really, you know, let's say somebody is born with the natural talent to play a guitar or natural talent to sing and play the piano, and their parents refuse to let them do it, this results in some physical issues as well. Let's see, where's my notes here? Yeah. And these behaviors, as Lisa talks about, they become automatic. And these behaviors are automatic. I call it being on autopilot. Things like tying your shoes, going to the bathroom, grabbing something to eat. We're on autopilot when we do this. It's ingrained in our cellular structure. So we think about the blocks that's happening like this and these autopilots, and I think of them as little bitty applications, programs. Now, about myself, my God, how long ago was it? 1984 is when I got my first computer. It had two 5-inch floppies, no hard drive, 64K of memory. 64K of memory, not 64 gigabytes, not 64 megs, but 64K of memory. And there was this a thing that's called a TSR, Terminate and Stay Resident. And it was a little bitty, it was an app that would load itself into memory and it would run when triggered. So this is the way the computer, especially after we had hard drives, could have a program standing by ready to load. Now a current device like this, a laptop running Windows, any device running Apple, will have a lot of little applets running. Give your computer the 3-finger salute. Control Alt Delete. Well, a long time ago that would restart the computer. Today it brings up a computer management screen that allows you to poke into it to see what processes are running and what applications are running. Now we look at our blockages as apps and processes. So we need to learn somehow to give our subconscious the 3-finger salute. Look at what's going on, see which ones we don't need, which ones are holding ourselves back, go in there, isolate that problem, isolate that process, turn it off. All right, let's give you an idea of what happens. It's a phrase like not enough, that is associated with money. I've had this before, like we can't afford. Afford was always preceded by can't. Money was always followed by not enough, as in not enough money. Money equals not enough. Money equals lack. And that becomes a process that we have to go into and neutralize. And it's not just in us, it's in everybody around us. I was in line at CVS yesterday buying a couple of cans of beer. And there was a lady behind me, she had a little boy, and he had something he wanted to buy. And she goes, "Are you going to pay for that yourself?" Now, I don't know what sort of lesson she was teaching him. He said, "Well, I don't have any money. Can I please still have this?" And she used the phrase, "We can't afford it." It was just a $1 candy bar. I mean, I would have turned around and given the kid $1 if it wouldn't have been, if this hadn't been, 2017, where people get all freaked out about a kindly stranger. And to be honest with you, those apps, are running in 4 different areas of our head. It covers money, covers time, relationships, and our health. And this is stored energy. Okay, the stored energy, the energy is stored in our, hold on a second. Okay, the energy is stored at the cellular level, and it manifests in our space-time because it's focused solely in those beliefs. So we have cells that remember this stuff. It's programmed into the cell, and it works with the law of attraction to bring the shit back to you. You see what I do with paper. That the same thing happens when I'm rewriting a script. Done with this page. All right. Go back to this. Our reality, of course, is just an illusion that's based upon our belief system. And if you deep down inside, if you're ingrained to feel that I don't deserve something, guess what's going to happen? It doesn't matter how many sigils, it doesn't matter how many times you form a circle, how many times you go into alpha, how many bunny rabbits you sacrifice. Still not going to happen. The key to this in my mind, step backwards. Do the time warp again. Go back in time. Change what it is. That's the three-fingered salute, and you're going to do it to your subconscious. And the thing about this isn't something that I can talk somebody through. I can give you the basic outline of what to do. You may have to engage somebody local to you that can walk you through the process. I cannot come up with a meditation tape that will walk you through the process. This is as hard as regressing somebody in hypnosis, not just to a past life. That's relatively easy, but to that space between your lives. You know, where do we go when we end one life? We go out, then we come back. That what's happening up there, and that's a process that I can't talk you through either. In fact, I'm trying to go through it myself, but I've done this. And so what you do is you have to be fully honest with yourself. You have to have a self-assessment. You have to say, okay, when did this shit start? What was it I witnessed? And then you have to be able to go into an altered state. And by that, I mean you need to be able to drop yourself into a mid-theta state and say to your higher self, please show me where and when these blocks were implanted. With very few exceptions, the blocks are implanted in our current lifetimes. Now, when you go back and you shine the spotlight on the stored pain, it will reopen those wounds, and it is painful. But as you do this, you have to step back and you look at it, okay, what can I do to turn this into a positive? What can I do to this story, to this child, my inner self? What can I do to turn it into a positive? That's why I say you need to do this at least twice for each event. Because when you go back in time and access these memories, you have to review the situation to see, okay, how at that age would I have liked the situation to have changed? And with myself, I actually had a fairly decent childhood. My parents were together. But my father, after about age 6, my father had trouble keeping a regular job, which forced us to move from city to city. And that's where it came ingrained about having to have the job instead of creating work for yourself. And I mean, my mom was very generous, very generous. I mean, you know, and back in the early 60s, your toys didn't cost a lot. We're talking, 49 cents for a really good toy. And the thing I enjoyed the most was getting a pad of paper and a pencil because I like to draw and I like to write stuff. So, but, this gets stepped on by friends and relatives who become overly realistic. Now think about it. You have a great idea. This is a huge idea. You want to do this idea. And you're very, very, what's a good term for that? You're enthusiastic about the idea. So you just, yeah, let's go, let's go. You've got that enthusiasm. It makes your soul sing for joy because that's the path you need to be on. And there's going to be one motherfucker, one, who's going to step in and say, well, realistically, and it's like, you're up here and your subconscious goes, yeah, there was that time that Uncle Frank tried the same thing and he failed and he's homeless, and you just down. It's like a fucking roller coaster. And it's a byproduct of over-realistic people around you. And their family, their friends, there's people you've known forever, and guess what? They reinforce these negative mind patterns, these negative beliefs. And you have to go back and you have to reprogram that so this song doesn't keep playing out all the damn time. When I announced when I was a kid that I wanted to go to college, I had an uncle who said, no, you don't need to go to college. Just go in the Navy like I did. I go, I don't want to turn out like you. And my dad was the same way. You don't need to go to college. Just go get a, just go get a job, And that was, it's like when I talk to some of my family about making movies, I swear to God, these people have no idea. They think movies just appear in the theater like mushrooms after a big rain. I mean, it's just like magic. They don't realize that people have to do that. People have to write it. They have to pull everything together. They have no idea the hundreds of people it takes to make one little movie. Even a low-budget, cheapy thing, you're going to have at least 100 people in the crew, counting camera, sound, all that stuff, and actors. So anyway, we use theta. We go back to that, what I described earlier. You've witnessed it. And you have to think, okay, what can I do to change this story? So then, in another session, unless you're really good at it, and you can do it in one session, you go back and you step in at that point and you rescue that child. You console the child if it saw something bad happen. If something bad happened to the child, have a superhero step in and save the child, saving your inner self, because you've got to change what happened to change the pattern. And our inner selves, all little children, all they want is our approval, our love, and they want justice. They want justice. You hear it all the time. What happened to Susie? Susie did something, she gets away with it. I do the same thing. It's not fair. And you got to understand, you got to look at it from the kid's point of view when you go back and review these instances. Don't review it as an adult. It's just being an adult that fucking ruined it. It is being a child. You got to go back. You've got to deal with the little child. All right. Where was I? Yeah. Let's see. So you have to expose those feelings. You got to bear them. You got to face these fears. And then you have to replace the story with a different story. So our inner child stops attracting more shit just like that. Okay? It's got to go. And you change the story, and that is the power of deep theta. Because deep theta will allow you to go to the scene and stop it, step in with your mind, change it, rework it, take the little kid by the hand, walk them out of the scene, follow them into their room, and just console them, let them know, yes, it's not fair, and this is what we're going to do to fix it. And you create the scene for the child fixing it. And some of the things I've been doing recently is when I do go back, I will give my inner child a big old stack of money. It says, here, you can afford to buy this now. Give this to your mommy, and you can afford to buy it. Now, after doing this a couple of times, I went back and reviewed some feelings and some memories, and then I called my mom. I said, okay, what did you and Dad fight about the most? And she goes, well, it was really funny. I remember something you said when you were 5. It was before your sister was born. And you just looked at me and said, that's okay, Mommy. There's going to be enough money. I'm thinking, whoa, okay. So I did go back and influence myself, probably remote influencing, in such a way as where I went back all those years, like 1964, and so I said that to my mom. That's really cool. Okay, who else do we have here? I'm looking at this. It says it's 3 comments now. Jeez. All right, how come I'm not seeing the comments? It's cause it's locked up. All right. Okay, all right. Hi, Leanne. Hi, Lisa. Now it's not locked up, but I'm hearing myself echo. All right, where was I? Next to last page. This is one of these things where you have to have a guide with you. And I use my higher self. You can also go out and ask for your spirit guide to help you with this. And what I did was I had it take me back, and it was amazing. I mean, I started uncovering memories that, of that childhood, these cool toys I would get. And And that's the essence. The shift can be almost instantaneously happen. You got to look for synchronicities currently to see that the blockages are removed. And as far as movies, memories back then, let me tell you a little bit my early childhood. My earliest memory prior to doing this was watching a funeral on TV, and that was John F. Kennedy's funeral. And the casket with the flag being taken by the horses down, Pennsylvania Avenue or whatever road that is. I'm like, wow, wow. So, and then I had memories of, seeing Vietnam War when I was 8, when JFK got shot, when Martin Luther King got shot, all those riots, that was a pretty tough period to grow up in. But personally, I seem to be doing fine. It's just it was watching my parents fight and my dad, not being able to hold a job. And he really wasn't successful in keeping a job until he started working for himself. And then he turns around and tells me I have to have a regular job, blah, blah, blah. All right. It is 30 minutes in. All right, ladies and germs, get ready. If you have a piece of paper and a pen, a pen, I'm going to tell you the process I use to accomplish this shift. Okay? Ready? Now I'm still kind of working on this, but you start with a what I call a mid-theta level. Now I'm kind of used to this. I actually have to use those audios that I released, what was it, last week, are actually the audios I use myself. If I want to just go into a light state, I'll take the alpha theta border state, and I use that just to, okay, that's what that feels like, and these are an hour long. And do the mid, but I have to use the lowest state, the lowest theta state, but you might benefit from hitting a medium theta state. And then while I'm there, and it takes 10 minutes of listening to those isochronic tones, and then I am zonked out. Well, my body is numb, my body can't move, but my brain is wide awake, eyes closed, and I go, okay. I ask my higher self to take me to the incident. And I go, I'm there, and I'll watch it the first time. I'll watch it play out. And I'm watching it through my inner child's eyes. So I can see, but I'm seeing it with an adult's brain. And I get there, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. All right, I see what I need to do. Now, at that point, I will freeze it. So I have complete control. This is a lot like lucid dreaming, Lisa. But it's actually you're inside of a memory. You're inside memory cells in your brain, and I'll roll it back like a film editor. I'll just I'll rewind it to the stop, to the very first, and then I'll step out of myself and I'll view the scene as if I was a camera. I'm watching it, and when it starts rolling in, if there's a spot where it looks like I could, I'll go in and I will start editing the scene. I will either distract my little self. And the first time I distracted myself, I said, hi. And I said, I'm your Uncle Dave, and we're going to go play in your bedroom. And I lead myself into the bedroom. We get out the toys. I had this footlocker, right? And this footlocker was my spaceship, all right? And I would open it up. I'd climb inside. I'd shut it. So we go inside the spaceship. And I'm telling them about how, big the universe is and how much money there is for everybody. I said, and here, look at all this stack of money. That's real money. Look, the old guy on the front, real money. And he gets all excited. And then I said, well, looks like we're going to land. Bumpy landing, a rocket. And then he gets out. By then, my parents have stopped fighting and I'm being called for dinner. Mission 1 accomplished. But you have to sometimes go in and hit every time there would be that argument, and you'd have to step in. For example, and I haven't uncovered any memories maybe when I was at a store with somebody who said we can't afford it. I know there was when I was a little older. And so I have to find those memories, go in and change it by giving myself a big old stack of money. And this is something really you're focusing between about 3 and 10 years old. And you just have to keep working this over and over again. And so my Deep Theta thing that I have, I've released out. If you want the link, just ask. And it, you know, it give it 10 minutes, but it's a full one, and it will sync you up and stuff you out. Okay, am I done here? Yeah, I'm done. It joins the rest of the recyclables in the back. As I've still got this screenplay I'm working on. There's some stuff here. You know, like some of these pages are blank because everything seems to be fine on that one. And then you'll see where I just write all sorts of notes on a page. Mostly starting with what the fuck do you think you're thinking of, what are you talking about here? It needs to be this, it needs to be that. It's where Meg says, I know you can talk, I've heard you do it, your mouth moves and sound comes out. Stuff like that. I'm waiting for some, God, there's got to be somebody here that has some questions for me. So let's get it rolling, folks. Let's get some questions. In the screenplay, just like in CSI and other programs, the first body is found by the guy jogging. Early morning, there's the jogger, there's a mist in the air, and they stops and sees a body, which is one reason why you're never going to see me out at dawn jogging. That's when bodies are found. All right, who else is with me here? Come on, guys. Let's get some questions. We're only halfway through. I'm feeling a little bit better today because I've had a lot of pills. You could try things like salt therapy, whatever, but I'm like Timothy O'Leary, the miracle of chemistry. Okay, let's see if there's any more. Sometimes this thing doesn't update. So if anybody has said anything or anything, just if, Michelle or Lisa, if you're with me, do message me if somebody's asking, because this little tablet keeps messing up on me. Okay, well, all right. Okay, Lisa, if you're still there, like I promised, I will have this screenplay draft done pretty darn quick. Not a lot. I did shorten it. I took out one scene, which I don't know, just seems to be, well, it's shit. That scene just was shit. I need to rework it and drop it in another spot somewhere else in the screenplay. But I can't go too far because from about midpoint on, we are focused on the battle with the demons and the other crap that's happening. And in my physical rewriting here, I'm on page 31 of my actual rewrite. I did all that in just about 10, 15 minutes. So it's okay. It's easy. Okay, Stacy, hi there. I'm actually changing my reaction. As Dr. Dyer passed away recently, Dr. Wayne Dyer said, if you change the way you look at things, things you look at change, and it's just yourself that you have to worry about. Don't worry about the reactions of other people in your dream and your memories, because these memories are all about you. The memories of your parents are projections of yourself, actually. When I went back in time, and it's the first time I see the memory, I see my parents. When I go back again, I'm focusing only on me as a child. I'm coming in as like the invisible friend, which, now that I think about it, may explain a few things. That's the really cool part about time travel. And make this very clear, you cannot go back and change an event. The event is locked in history. You can't go back and change it. Some events, even if we actually had time travel, I doubt we could go back in time and change it. You know, no matter what we do, there's going to be World War II. No matter what we do, JFK is going to get killed. No matter what we do, Reagan's going to be president. Although there's some thought that maybe the guys at CERN running the Large Hadron Collider somehow dumped us into an alternate timeline where we have Biff as president. But yeah, you're affecting yourself. You're affecting your cellular memories of those events in such a way as to break the blockages. The key is to stop your subconscious from attracting the negative stuff right now. And you don't have to change it. You don't have to turn it into joy. You don't have to, okay, we got to be happy, happy, happy. You just have to neutralize it. Just take it, if it's at a -11, give it 11 points of joy till you're at a 0, and you're in the middle, as Lisa likes to say. And at that point, it's so much easier then to keep going forward, forward, than it is to keep replaying the past. The whole key here is to stop past thinking so you can move forward, because those bad memories do not serve your present self. Those bad memories do not serve the now. And you sure as shit can't build upon those bad memories to move forward in the now until you neutralize them. Okay. Right. I'm finding I have to keep re-swiping this. Okay, anything else? No. That's the button I wanted, right there. Anything else going on? Anybody questions? I didn't set out the step-by-step because that's really no steps. It's meditate, theta state, uncover the memories. You probably will relive the terror or pain that you had as a child, and that's okay. And then step back in a second time to correct those memories. Now you can do them 2 separate sessions until you get really good at it. Then you can just, okay, the shit's getting ready to happen. Step out of yourself, watch it for a few minutes, freeze it, and go back inside. Let's see, when I was a little kid, Mighty Mouse was it. Superman was it. I wasn't, I was 6 when Batman came on the air. I really wasn't as big of a fan of Batman as I was of Superman, but I was a really big fan of the Catwoman. I'll let your brains go with that one. When I was growing up, there was never any issue regarding my sexuality. None at all. I've been uncovering some bizarre memories, and they mostly revolve around playing with the neighborhood girls. I always seemed to have little girlfriends around me when I was 5 and 6 and 7. Which tape did I recommend to get in this state again? It is those meditation audios are just audio only. They're hour long each, and there's 3 of them. If you go to my website, it'll say it. They're just audio only, and they're cheap. They're really cheap. The reason why I set the rate as I did is because on Gumroad, there has to be a certain specific amount in the account for it to go ahead and send the money to me. So it's set up that way. So one purchase will clear the bottom rung to get, because they take a fee. Everybody takes a fee. It's one of the things a lot of people, when people ask me about becoming their own boss, there's a lot of stuff you have to cover. Taxes, self-employment taxes, and stuff like that. A lot of people focus on that. They focus, you're going to have to pay taxes on self-employment. You're going to have to this and this and this. But then you got to run around, well, wait a minute. you're really good with accounting, and Lisa, you understand that, don't you, about accounting, there's a lot of stuff you can take off your taxes if you just do something as simple as keeping receipts. And I recommend, okay, like this receipt here. Well, I bought, what did I buy on this one? Yeah, I bought 2 packages of paper. I use the paper in my writing, so I circle that and I file it, and so that way, come at the end of the year, QuickBooks, I'm only using Quicken, but QuickBooks does the same thing. It'll itemize all your deductions. You say, okay, this is business, this is what I did it on, and in my 25 some odd years of being self-employed, occasionally being employed by somebody else, but I still would make money in that year, I've never been audited. My mom used to work in a tax office, and I used to go in occasionally and earn some extra money helping, so I know how to do business taxes, and I know what is a red flag for audit, and I make sure I avoid that. Even if it means not being able to claim 100% of what I should, I err on the side of caution. Okay, anybody else today with some questions? Friday afternoon, well, Friday evening now for most of y'all. It's coming up to 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Lisa, yeah, I had this phone call. Actually, that guy, Andy, I think his name is, called me about 11 o'clock last night. We talked at 1 in the morning. And it was kind of weird. It came up Massachusetts, but he's a nice guy. He's not much younger than me, but he's older than you. And that was a good conversation. There really was. This guy has an art department. He has 2 other people he works with, and these guys have done some great stuff. He stepped in to help Lisa with a movie project of hers. He stepped in at the last minute and kind of, I guess he helped out. Okay, base of your blocks. Okay, right, common theme. Well, like I said, the themes hit 1 of 4 areas. Money. Well, where did I throw that piece of paper that has it on it? Money, relationships, health. And there's one other one I remember. But in mine, it seemed to focus mostly on money. Now, and I wasn't old enough to understand until I was in my teens the fact that my dad would fool around a lot. My mom knew it. He thought he was covering his tracks, but quite honestly, when it comes to stuff like that, my dad wasn't all that bright. Hell, not even my brothers are that bright. My middle brother, adopted brother, he was grounded. He was in high school, and he thought he was getting away with it because I had to go spend the night over there. Brought Candace with me, and I went out that morning after making sure they're all up, and Candace, the little girl, and I noticed a screen to my brother's window was off and laying next to the window. I looked at that. All right. And so I left for the day, go back home with the kid. So she did her stuff. She did her growing up stuff while I was doing my photography stuff. And for most part, most of the photography stuff was editing the pictures and scanning them and getting ready to submit to the clients. It wasn't all with the camera taking pictures. And okay, it's time for these knucklehead brothers of mine to get back home. And here comes Ryan. Ryan is now, hey Dave, how's it going? Yeah. Hey Brian, sit down a second. You snuck out last night. I don't know how late you were out, but you were out. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I go, dude, come here. Come here. Let me show you something. Take him outside. I go, you see that? I know you went out the window and you forgot to put the screen back. Now, when Dad gets home, you damn well better make sure that screen's back on there. I'm not saying a word, because you're just my brother. But, let's make sure the old man doesn't know about it, okay? It's like, oh, thank you, dear. So, yeah, but, that's just something us guys are like. My dad thought he was covering up, but a lot of them, though, were money blocks. I don't know what it was. I know I've got some health issues, and that's the other thing I want to talk about real quick. Sometimes when you look at your memories and go back, like I said, 90% of the time, these are issues that occurred to us when we were kids. But I have some health issues that go back to a previous lifetime. And sometimes we recycle so fast in the afterlife or life between lives that we'll come back and then we'll start picking up those old injuries, and mine is in my stomach. Sometimes we have a karmic block on something. Well, let me explain this karmic block. What karma really is. Karma is not tit for tat in this world. Yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes if somebody hurts you badly, then they'll get hurt back. But chances are it has to wait to the next lifetime. You guys, you and the husband person will show up and you're in spirit and you go, well, I really fucked you over in this life accidentally. I'm sorry, I was out of control. Well, that's okay, but we got to work this out. And so what karma really is a lesson you're learning from a previous lifetime, previous series of lifetimes. And the thing is, I've discovered if I go back and there is a karmic issue with, say, relationships, only one thing, in this case, one thing supersedes karma. Grace supersedes karma. There is not a karmic debt that you can have to deal with. If you know about it, knowledge is power. You can forgive yourself for this. Seek out this other person in meditation. Forgive them for something they've done to you. And that usually solves it. Forgiveness of yourself is really the best way to defeat karmic blocks. And I've done this as well. I think there was a life I had in which I was part of aristocracy, really well-to-do. But I didn't, I wasn't all that nice to other people, and I had to forgive myself for that so I could move on. And once you do that, that karmic thing is gone, because that's how it works. And I'm trying my level best in this life not to create any sort of karma with another person that would force me to have to come back and redo the lesson. So, okay. Anything else out there in Facebook land? I've already thrown the piece of paper away. But to recap, if it is a theta state, practice that. You have to get good at that. Get good at controlling your thoughts and controlling your directions to get into those memories. Ask your higher self to take you to the first memory. And then double check yourself. Are you sure this is the earliest memory? And there might be a warping of time and space around you, and they go find another memory. Then observe the memory. Make mental notes of what you'd have to do. And then you can either freeze it, step back a little bit, and then start the memory again. Step in and make those corrections. Or you can go out, make some notes, meditate on it, and then you can go back in. See, as far as relationships go, I was always getting in trouble with girls when I was little. I saw that in some things. I mean, it wasn't anything, I didn't do anything bad to them. It's just that the two of us would get together and we would do something bad. Um, but no one really got hurt. It's just some parents got pissed off. Uh, that sort of that never formed any sort of blockages. There was never any uh, sexual malfunctions as a result of this. Uh, let's see what else. I'm surprised though I don't have some issues with, say, dogs, because when I was 4, some big dogs that lived next door to me, and one of them was always getting out. And there was a good dog, and then there was a bad dog. And I happened to be in the alley. Now imagine a time in our life where a 4-year-old could go out in the backyard, go out into the alley, and just play without adult supervision. Well, that was the early 60s in Central Texas. But anyway, I'm back there, and this other dog had gotten out, and it loved me. But I didn't know it loved me. I thought it was going to eat me. And I have a memory of that dog's nose right there knocks me down and is just licking my face. And I'm screaming. They come get the dog off of me. Yet, to this day, I prefer real dogs. I don't think anything this big is a real dog. It's just, it's an overgrown rat. Well, not really. Sorry, Lisa. But yeah, they're sweet. Those dogs can be sweet, but to me, they're not real dogs. It's like going and getting a tiny little hamburger patty and putting it on a biscuit and calling it a hamburger. Sorry, it's not a hamburger. Okay, anything else? Let me see what I can do here. Swipe to reveal contents. Well, all right. Coming up, it's been about an hour. If there's any more questions, do post them real quick. I'm seeing something here that's out, and I've got a printer right next to my monitor. What is this? Oh, look, it's a baggie. Oh, I wonder what was in it. Actually, what was in it, was not a little piece of white powder. It was, yes, it was one of these things. This is a nib, metal nib for a fountain pen. Sometimes you can get a fountain pen that looks and feels really, really good. I like this one. Really writes well. I had to replace this metal part because the tip of it that came with it was I think this is it. And it was kind of garbage. It felt like I was writing with a pair of tweezers on the paper, and it was scratching. Okay, gang. Questions regarding cellular memories, going back and correcting them. It's really quite easy. There's no mystery to it. There's no bullshit. If you want, you can go hire people to help you out with it. But it's just like, I think there was the other Stacy that I know. She made a comment that somebody was doing a sales solicitation with her, and they wanted to charge $400 for a conference call. And in this conference call, they would tell them what the price was of some big program they were doing. It's like, wait a minute. What? You're going to charge $400 to people to call people to give a sales pitch? What sort of fucked up shit is that? God, just wow. All right, gang. Anything else going on? Yeah, okay. All right. Well, let's see. There we go. That and that and that. Okay. Well, we're about to the end of the hour anyway. So I want to thank everybody for showing up this afternoon. I'm probably going to hold and keep the 6 o'clock time slot because that's only 9 o'clock on the East Coast. And so people are there. Right now, nothing stands out to me for a topic for next week. And usually the law of attraction, manifestation works, and I'll get us some topic. Oh, Stacy, you're welcome. I actually thank you for dropping by, everybody. And that's it. And if you do attempt to try, theta work, well, let me know what your results are, and just ask a question in the group. And if not this group, you can ask a question in the mediumship group. I am preparing 2 more major lessons for the mediumship group, more about tuning in and fine-tuning your psychic powers. If there's a way I could put that on some reverb, I would. All right, gang, thanks for tuning in, and I will chat with everybody next week, okay? About the same time.